fourth day of the Iraq War. It was a Sunday that the body's blood would pour. A scorching hot day when a dry wind blew, when the boys of the old battalion 1-2 rode up on the south side of a city, new and modern yet ancient and gritty. A name they'd never forget, a Nasiriyah. The danger inside, they had no idea. 'Cause it'll be an easy mission, they were told, in this Arabic city 3,000 years old. A city believed to be the location of Eden, though more like hell it'd be for these men.
Don't believe intelligence, perhaps a good moral, because this is what they were told by the intel. Resistance why it should be very light. This enemy won't give much of a fight.
Actually huge and bordered by 2 rivers, the info on this city I'll now deliver. The Euphrates lay just to the south, with a bridge across one of 2 ways out. The other a canal up on the north, with a bridge across which all traffic went forth. Secure those bridges from being blown up so the army can cross and go straight up north to the capital land of Baghdad, where that old Saddam was getting mad. The highway rolled right through the city, so they dubbed that highway Ambush Alley. And on that road they shed their blood, shed it in the dirt, the sand, and the mud. Shed it to a sound, the cadence of Eden, a tragedy 18 went to heaven. Now when the Marines rolled into town, there were thousands waiting to gun them down. This was surely no insurgent fight. They were an army, with guns heavy, not light.
Tanks and anti-air, they were everywhere. This was the challenge for the Marines of Tarwood.
Those men in black didn't hide at all. They swarmed the Marines looking for a brawl. So Alpha Company moved in first, a job which sometimes is the worst, and secured that southern Euphrates bridge, neutralizing tanks hiding in a ditch. Then Bravo moved across on the right to skirt the city out of sight, and secure that bridge on the northern side, and then Charlie would make the final ride to secure the space left in between, but that is not what would be seen. When Bravo crossed and then banked east, the very ground gave out beneath. It was muck and sewage under a crust, and their vehicles sank into 3-foot ruts. Tanks even, though you wouldn't believe, but on my word as a U.S. Marine, I saw those tanks stuck there myself, and stuck also were the ones pulling them out.
I'll tell you just what I saw next was tons of those men in black descend, and boy, I'll tell you, they were glad, 'cause a hell of a chance they now had to unleash every ounce of powder to lead, and at once make so many Marines dead.
When personnel carriers are full and stuck, the enemy couldn't have better luck. Ramps down was the order. Dismount, dismount, hug the walls and corners. And quickly so was what they did, and now found themselves making a bid for their lives, unknown what would come to be. Surrounded, heavy fire had to break free. Those men in black were everywhere, so the Marines also had to fight their fear. Enemy fire growing heavy, they had to move. Now it was the time they had to prove that they had just what it took, and doing so would land them in the history books. The Marines shed blood to the cadence of Eden, and a tragedy 18 went to heaven. While Bravo searched for a way out of trouble, Charlie took initiative and headed in on the double. To secure that northern bridge before it was blown, they wouldn't go around like Bravo, no. Instead, straight up the middle of the city, they took that mean old ambush alley. What came next for those Marines of Charlie was nothing short of a great tragedy.
Mortars hit some, and rockets hit others. A-10 struck so fast it killed some brothers.
18 Marines killed dead is what they received, 8 armored transports disabled, do you believe? And a hit to their confidence and invincibility, but that wouldn't last because these survivors achieved victory no matter how hard the fight, fighting without an end in sight, fighting on the bridges and fighting near the mosque, fighting in the alleys and all across the city from the bottom to the top. Fighting seemed like it would never stop. Fighting at the compound they called the Alamo, fighting near the rivers until the stars glow. The Marines shed blood to the cadence of Eden. A tragedy 18 went to heaven. It was a bloody, bloody Sunday when the Marines rolled up that old ambush alley. So the boys of 1-2 secured that city, though a whole week it took to really, just to hand it over to another unit. And then the highway again they hit, for 2 more months in that damn desert, despite all the pain and the hurt of those Marines that they had lost and of having paid such a high cost. Driving and fighting, driving and fighting, fighting and driving and fighting and fighting, and at night sleeping in holes in the ground. Staying alive was the only goal around. Each day they fought in sweet memory of those lost on Ambush Alley, until Baghdad was in touch and in sight. Then the brass deemed them too broke to fight, and sent them back south to their ship. Boy, they couldn't believe that shit. They cleared the way to the capital, beaten empty so others could arrive full. Out in that desert, nothing else matters. A perception of family is one that's shattered, 'cause strangers become brothers when lives are given for each other. It was a Sunday, bloody Sunday, that war's fourth day, when the Marines rolled up old Ambush Alley. It was a bloody, bloody Sunday when the Marines rolled up that old ambush alley. Southbound we stopped near the bridge to reflect. Despite strength, for a moment some tears crept. 18 soldiers crosses, 21 guns salute, and Lieutenant Beer's bagpipe taps. Tell you the truth? Yes, I, this old devil dog, even I wept, because never before since braver men have I met. I shed a tear and stared up towards the sky, thought of those good men and said goodbye. Corporal Rosacker, Reese, and Gunny Jordan, Busey, Burkett, and Lance Corporal Nixon, Sergeant Bitts and Blair, and my friend Dave Fribley, Gonzalez, Williams, and Corporal Garrity, Private Hutchings, and Lieutenant Picorni, Slocum, Chenowonks, we called him Han, Private Gifford, and Lance Corporal Klein. All these good young men are now gone, yet heroes remembered for all time. And on that road they shed their blood, shed it in the dirt, the sand, and the mud. Shed it to a sound, the cadence of Eden, and with such acts gaining mittens in heaven. And in that desert nothing else matters. The perception of family is one that's shattered, because even strangers become brothers when lives are given for each other. It was a Sunday, bloody Sunday, that war's fourth day, when the Marines rolled up old Ambush Alley. It was a bloody, bloody Sunday when the Marines rolled up that old ambush alley.